Importance of ethics. Most of us would agree that it is ethics in practice that makes sense. Just having it carefully drafted and redrafted in books may not serve the purpose. Of course, all of us want businesses to be fair, clean, and beneficial to the society. For that to happen, organizations need to abide by the ethics or rule of law, engage themselves in fair practices and competition, all of which will benefit the consumer and society and organization. Primarily, it is the individual, the consumer, the employee, or the human social unit of the society who benefits from ethics. In addition, ethics is important because of the following. Number one, satisfying basic human needs. Being fair, honest, and ethical is one of the basic human needs. Every employee desires to be such himself and to work for an organization that is fair and ethical in its practices. Number two, creating credibility. An organization that is believed to be driven by moral values is respected in the society, even by those who may have no information about the working and the business or an organization. Infosys, for example, is perceived as an organization for good corporate governance and social responsibility initiatives. This perception is held far and wide even by those who do not even know what business the organization is into. Number three, uniting people and leadership. An organization driven by values is revered by its employees also. They are the common thread that brings the employees and the decision makers on a common platform. This goes a long way in aligning behaviors with the organization toward achieving one of the common goal or mission. Number four, improving decision making. A man's destiny is the sum of total of all the decisions that she has taken in course of his life. The same holds true for organizations. Decisions are driven by values. For example, an organization that does not value competition will be fierce in its operations, aiming to wipe out its competitors and establish a monopoly in the market. Number five, long-term gains. Organizations guided by ethics and values are profitable in the long run, though in the short run they may seem to lose money. Tata Group, one of the largest business conglomerates in India, was seen on the verge of decline at the beginning of 1990s, which soon turned out to be otherwise. The same company, Tata Nano Car, was predicted as a failure and failed to do well, but the same is picking up fast now. Number six, securing the society. Often ethics succeeds law in safeguarding the society. The law machinery is often found acting as a mute spectator, unable to save the society and the government. Technology, for example, is growing at such a fast pace that by the time law comes up with the regulation, we have a newer technology with new threats replacing the older ones. Lawyers and public interest litigations may not help a great deal, but ethics can. Ethics tries to create a sense of right and wrong in the organizations, and often when the law fails, it is the ethics that may stop organizations from harming the society or environment. Sources of business ethics. Ethics in general refers to a system of good and bad, moral and immoral, fair and unfair. It is a code of conduct that is supposed to align behaviors with an organization and the social framework. But the question that remains is, where and when did business ethics come into being? Primarily, ethics in business is affected by three sources: culture, religion, and law of the state. It is for this reason we do not have uniform or completely similar standards across the globe. These three factors exert influences to varying degrees on humans, which ultimately get reflected in the ethics of the organizations. For example, ethics followed by Infosys are different than those followed by Reliance Industries or by Tata Group for that matter. Again, ethical procedures vary across geographic boundaries. Religion. It is one of the oldest foundations of ethical standards. Religion wields varying influences across various sects of people. It is believed that ethics is a manifestation of the divine, and it draws a line between the good and the bad in the society. Depending upon the degree of religious influence, we have different sects of people. We have sects, those who are referred to as orthodox or fundamentalists, and those who are called as moderates. Needless to mention, religion exerts in itself to a greater degree among the orthodox and to lesser extent in case of moderates. Fundamentally, however, all the religions operate on the principle of reciprocity towards one fellow being. Culture. Culture is a pattern of behaviors and values that are transferred from one generation to another. Those are considered as ideal or within the acceptable limits. No wonder, therefore, that it is the culture that predominantly determines what is wrong and what is right. It is the culture that defines certain behavior as acceptable and others as unacceptable. Human civilization, in fact, has passed through various cultures, wherein the moral code was rerapted depending upon the epoch each time. What was immoral or unacceptable in certain culture became acceptable later on and vice versa. During the early years of human development, were ones who were the strongest were the ones who survived. Violence, hostility, and ferocity were thus acceptable. Approximately 10,000 years ago, when human civilization entered the settlement phase, hard work, patience, and peace were seen as the virtues, and the earlier ones was considered otherwise. These values are still put in practice by the managers of today. Still further, when human civilization witnessed the Industrial Revolution, the ethics of agrarian economy was replaced by the law pertaining to technology, property rights, etc. Ever since, a tussle has ensued between the values of the agrarian and the industrial economy. Law. Law are procedures and code of conduct that are laid down by the legal system of the state. They are meant to guide a human behavior within the social fabric. The major problem with the law is that all the ethical expectations cannot be covered by the law, and especially with ever-changing outer environment, the law keeps on changing, but often fails to keep pace. In business, complying with the rule of law is taken as ethical behavior, but organizations often break laws by evading taxes, compromising on quality, service norms, etc. Basic workplace ethics for an organization. Let us go through some workplace ethics. Rules and regulations ought to be same for everyone. Everyone needs to attend office on the same time, irrespective of their designation, distance of their home from the workplace, salary, or status. An individual cannot come onto office late just because he is the team leader and his team is already present and working on his behalf. If a day's salary of a clerk is deducted for coming late to work, it should be the same for the marketing manager as well. Companies' policies need to be communicated clearly to each and everyone. There should be transparency at all levels of hierarchy. Excuse me. Employees are the backbone of any organization and thus they must have a salary, say in company's goals and objectives. An organization ought to respect its employees to expect the same in return. Rules and regulations should not be too rigid. Don't expect an employee to attend office 2 days before his marriage date. If an employee is not keeping well, please do not ask him or her to attend office unless and until there is an emergency. Management must not forget that money is a strong motivator for employees. Everything is important, be it career, growth, job, satisfaction. But what is most important is employees' salaries. Do not unnecessarily hold their salaries for a long time unless and until there is a really shortage of funds. In case of marketing and sales employees, conveyance and mobile bills must be cleared at the earliest. Do not ask for unnecessary bills and documents. Organizations should not expect employees to attend office 365 days a year. It is the responsibility of human resource professionals to prepare the holiday calendar at the beginning of the year and circulate the same among all employees. Let employees enjoy their respective festivals and come back to work with positive and smile. In fact, allow them to go into the festive mood 2 days prior to the D-Day and ask them to organize pre-festival bashes at the workplace. Let them dress in colorful attires and have fun. Trust me, work never suffers this way. Rather, employees feel attached to the organization and strive hard to deliver the level best every time. Give employees the space they require. Key responsibility areas need to be communicated to the employees on the very first day of their joining. Roles and responsibilities need to be assigned as per individuals' expertise and experience. Do not expect an employee with 1 year experience to head the marketing team. Employees need to be trained well. Organizations need to give at least 6 months time to the new employees to adjust in the new environment. It has been observed that most of the employees crib when they are underpaid. Make sure employees get what they deserve. Salaries should be decided in the presence of the employees and also keeping in mind an individual's role in the organization. His gross salary in the previous organization, responsibilities within the current systems, and of course his/her years of experience. That sums up the importance of ethics in our life. Thank you.